So we have a red test method and we need to implement the logic to make it green. In the test method, we change the first name property of a friend and then we assert that the canExecute method of the save command returns true. To implement the logic, we need to find out if the friend has been changed or not. But when we go to the friend property, we see it is of type friend, and the friend class itself has just some properties. It does not contain any information if the friend object has been changed or not. Now we want to add that information, and to do this, we just create a friend wrapper that has exactly the same properties as the friend class and that knows if it has been changed or not. I have already prepared such a friend wrapper in the wrapper folder of my UI project. So let's include that folder. Here is a class called friendWrapper that inherits from ViewModelBase to get the iNotify property changed implementation. As you can see, the constructor takes a friend instance and stores it in the friend field. The friend wrapper has a model property that returns the wrapped friend instance. The wrapper has also an isChange property that returns if this friend has been changed or not. It has also an acceptChanges method that just sets the isChange property to false. Next, you see all the properties like they exist on the friend class. We have an ID property and it just returns the ID of the wrapped friend. We have a first name property that returns in the getter the first name of the wrapped friend. In the setter, we set the first name of the wrapped friend and we raise the property changed event. Now we have some properties that are similar to this first name property implementation. We have the last name property, we have the birthday property, and we have the isDeveloper property. The last thing in this class is an override of the onPropertyChanged method from the ViewModelBase class. In this method, we check if the changed property name is not the isChange property, and if that's the case, we set the isChange property to true. That means, for example, if the property first name or last name changes, the isChange property will be set to true. Okay, so now we can use this class in our friend edit view model. Let's do this. In the friend edit view model, we just change the type of the friend property to friend wrapper. And we need a using to friend storage UI wrapper. Let's also change the field here. And let's also change the type of the property in the interface. Now let's scroll down to the load method where we get the friend from the data provider's getFriendById method. When we assign it to the property, we need to wrap it in our new friend wrapper. Okay, so that's quite cool. We are done. Let's see if we can build the solution. We get one error, cannot convert from friend to friend wrapper. And when I double click it, we are in the main ViewModel tests class. In this create friend edit view model method, we have a friend edit view model mock. On that mock, we set up the friend property and we say it returns a new friend. But this doesn't work anymore because the friend property is of type friend wrapper. So we need to wrap that new friend in a friend wrapper. Okay, let's add a using to friend storage UI wrapper and we are done. Let's build, and the build succeeded. Now let's go back to the friend edit view model and let's go to the onSave canExecute method. Here we can access now our friend wrapper, which is stored in the friend property of our view model, and we use its isChange property. So if the friend is changed, the save command can be executed. Alright, now let's run the tests again. And you see, all the tests are green. Now I want to add one additional test method in the friend edit viewModel tests class. I just copy again this test method here, and I paste it, and I call it should disable save command without load. Okay, and I don't call the viewModels load method, and I just assert that the save command can't be executed. Now let's run the tests again. And you see, this test is red. We get a null reference exception. I don't know where it comes from, so let's just right-click and let's debug that test. Now you see, in the onSaveCanExecute method of our friend edit viewModel, the friend is null, because we never loaded a friend. So it's quite clear what we have to do. We just need an additional check here. If the friend is not null and the friend is changed, then we can execute the save command. Alright, let's run the tests again. And all the tests are green. Cool! So now you have learned how you can wrap a model to track changes. In my course, WPF and MVVM Advanced Model Treatment, you learn how to create such wrapper classes for your models to track the changes, to display the changes in the user interface, and to display validation errors in the user interface. And you even learn how to generate these wrapper classes with T4. But in this course, we will focus on testing the view models and not that wrapper class. So let's continue now and let's test if our save button gets enabled when we change a friend. So far, we have only green tests. We enable the save button when a friend is changed. So let's try it and let's run the application. Let's open up a friend and you see the save button is disabled. Now let's change the first name. And now I expected that the save button will get enabled, but it didn't. The reason is we don't fire the canExecuteChanged event for the save button. So let's do this now, and for sure, let's start with the unit test. I have already prepared a unit test in the friend edit viewModel tests class. Here you see the test should raise canExecuteChanged event for save command when friend is changed. On the viewModel, I load a friend and I set here a fired variable to false. Then I add an event handler to the canExecuteChanged event of the save command. In that handler, I just set the fired variable to true. Then I change the first name property of my friend in the viewModel, and I assert that the fired variable is true, which means the canExecuteChanged event has been fired. Okay, let's run the tests. And for sure, this test method is red. Now let's go to the friend edit viewModel and let's implement the logic. In the load method, where we create a new friend wrapper, we just attach an event handler to the friend wrapper's property changed event. In that event handler, we grab the save command, and that property is of type iCommand, so we need to cast it into a delegate command. And on the delegate command class, we have the method raisExecuteChanged. Okay, cool. Now let's run the tests again. And you see, the tests are green. Before we run the application, I want to add another test method. Let's just copy that test method and let's call the new one should raise can execute changed for save command after load. And what we want to do here now, we add the handler before we call the load method. So when the load method is called, we also assert that the can execute changed event of the save command is fired. Now let's run the tests again. And that new test is red. Now let's go back to the friend-edit view model, and at the end of the load method, we just call the raise can execute changed method of the save command. So let's run the tests again. And all the tests are green. Quite cool. Now let's start the application. Let's open up a friend. The save button is disabled. Now let's change the first name. And you see the save button is enabled because now we have fired the can execute changed event. Okay, that's quite cool. Now the next thing we want to focus on is the actual save logic. We want to save a friend. So let's do this now.